Hello and welcome to another episode of Becoming.
Rock solid.
And we're your hosts, Mindy
And Sean Harley.
And today's episode, we've got one hell of a badass in store for you guys. I don't even think Joe Rogan could handle her. She's the world's only physician and pro fighter. And her name is Dr. Sarah Schell, and she is based out of Arizona. And she's not only an integrative primary care physician, she's also a pro bare-knuckle fighter. And she's also a mom of 3. My goodness.
Yeah, pretty remarkable story. Bare knuckle boxing, competing in fitness competitions, has become a doctor. And she's the kind of doctor that wants to help you avoid doctors. She's the kind of doctor that wants to teach her clients about hormones and vitamins and nutrition and exercise and help them avoid the big medical system. So we had a really interesting conversation with her today.
Yeah, we did. So let's get into it.
I keep it rockin' like Primus. I'm way too turned up on a mission. Ain't no sitting in silence.
It's too electrifying to shop.
Find the muscle you're hiding hard off the pressure. I bring the pressure to the bitch. I don't ride and see me live. Get it right. Free your mind. We got some living to do. We bring it big from a trauma, make them sick. You know he flexing when they ask you who you with. We gon' rep it for life.
Rock solid, rock solid, rock solid. We becoming rock solid.
Today, we've got a badass with us, Sean. We've got Dr. Sarah Schell, integrative primary care physician based out of Chandler, Arizona. She has her practice there, Schell Medical, and she's also a pro bare-knuckle fighter and a mom of 3. My goodness. Sarah, welcome to the show. So great to have you on here.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, no, it's so great to connect with you and have you on the show. And, it's really interesting because we kind of connected online on social media and everything. And it turns out that you and I actually kind of were like 2 ships in the night crossing each other way back in BC, Canada.
Yeah, about 15 years ago, right when I was actually starting my amateur MMA career, I was also doing bikini in the NPC division, and so it was kind of just staying in shape kept me in bikini shape, and also ready to fight. So there were times where I would fight one weekend and the next weekend I'd be doing a bikini show, or vice versa. I would fight one weekend and then in the announcement I'd say like, hey, like I'm doing an NPC bikini show, cheer me on, guys. So it's always been unique like that, but I've been able to juggle around my athletics when I was younger, and now I'm able to juggle around family and work and everything. So it's just added more to my plate over the years. But I love fitness and just excelling in everything that I do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, you've excelled to such an incredible point in your life and career. And what was the inspiration for you anyway, getting into the medical field?
Into the medical field, I was in my undergrad. You know what? Back up. I was in my undergrad, but back in Vancouver. I was kind of doing like a business undergrad. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And then I got into fighting and bikini, shortly after. And I immediately moved to not Arizona. I moved to Omaha. And I did my undergrad out there just because, from Canada to the United States, everything's bigger in the United States. So competing in sports and even in bikini division, NPC, it was a lot bigger in the States. And so I moved out here to do my Omaha to do my undergrad, and I immediately switched it to neuroscience because I was into bikini and I was into MMA, so I knew that I was into some sort of health. And so I wanted to learn about the body, and that's what I did my undergrad. We got an undergrad in my BS in neuroscience, and and it was an easy transition. All throughout my undergrad, I was fighting and doing fitness competitions, and I became very interested in healthcare, and honestly, it was just such a smooth transition. It wasn't like I really thought about things. It was just I finished my neuroscience undergrad, and I was like, you know what, like I want to keep doing this, and it was all part of the plan to really get back into fighting. So it's this is really like I'm living like delayed gratification right now. It's been like 10, 15 years, but I went to medical school, had my kids during medical school, planned it pretty well. I always say like my colleagues just know me as the pregnant girl. I was pregnant all throughout medical school. I just popped out babies back to back. And then I had a fight after my first two babies, and I finished med school, and then I had one more baby. It's history from there. I like to say like I took a quick break to make a family, but like I'm back. I've always wanted to come back to fighting, and this was always the plan. I always had school and a job as my priority. Fighting, was never something that I thought I could live off financially. So I knew like I had to, make a job where I'm happy. But it goes along with what I love to do. And fitness is just what I love to do. I love the ultimate mental and physical challenge. And for me, like that's in the gym. And then when I get to test myself, for a lot of fitness competitors, they get to test themselves on stage. And I love to test myself on stage and see where I stand there. But, certainly with, fighting and from mixed martial arts to now professional boxing, it's just a love. It's hard to explain, but you really only know it when you're in the sport that you love.
Yeah, 100%. You gotta love it.
Yeah, especially for
Yeah.
those two sports, because those are really both individual sports, right? It's just you against everything, and mostly
I,
you against your own mindset. But it's a solo
exactly.
adventure, yeah. And
Yeah.
it requires hard dieting. Both of those two sports do, and that's a round the clock discipline that you've got to build in yourself. And so it's really
Absolutely.
impressive that you're able to do all that while going to school and having kids at the same time. That's an
Yeah.
amazing focus.
Yeah, you know what? I always say my weakness is my diet. But typically when you're working out, you crave healthier foods. So like I'm craving good foods because I'm working out and I want to fuel my body. But I always say like my diet, I guess would be my weakness. But my training and everything, I guess makes up for it. Like that would be my one kind of weakness. I'm very serious about my supplements and, at least getting my protein. So even though, my diet might not be the healthiest, I do make sure that I supplement what I'm missing.
Yeah, and you say that coming from where you stand, but it's probably healthier than 99% of the people on the standard American diet, I would imagine.
Yeah, you know what? That's true. And as a physician, I certainly get to learn that not all of us have experienced what a healthy meal even is, and really understand what protein is and just what healthy food is. And I was really lucky because my very first job, 16 years old, 17 years old, I worked at Reflex Nutrition in Burnaby, BC, Canada, which is a supplement store. My very first job, like I was seeing very fit adults come in and out. They're getting protein, it's very eye opening to see. You realize like there are really fit people out there, and it's consistency, and hard work. It doesn't come easy. And so I was very lucky to be exposed to that at a very young age. I certainly didn't know that fit women, or even men like that existed. You think like it's just bodybuilding, but there's a lot of fit people out there who really don't have any competitions other than do they just want to be a better, healthier person. And at any level that you're at, it's very inspiring. But I always say like fitness is a non-negotiable. You're going to get the best results if you take the time to learn about good food as well too. And a lot of us per culture, different cultures, and different ways that we're raised or exposed to food, there is a lot of confusion about what is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you with your especially competitor background, when you're competing, you learn how to just really dial in the diet. You learn to look at food in terms of macronutrients a lot. How has that helped you in your career as a doctor? And follow up, how much nutrition did you study in medical school?
Oh, you know what? In medical school, because I'm a naturopathic medical doctor, we learn a lot about nutrition. Of course, we learn about all the same things that a primary care physician needs, but it's a little bit more, right? Because we dig deeper into nutrition. So it's not like conventional medicine where you get 2 hours for your whole medical school career. Everything that we learned with medication, it was intertwined with supplements and and really thinking outside the box. So that really is a challenge in and of itself. And yeah, I mean, it's become very helpful, of course, for myself to have, the baseline knowledge of supplements at a very young age, but to expand upon that in what we can do with diet and in addition, and of course, preventative with different, diets and supplements. It's such an important thing to learn. So it really is mind-boggling, a lot of doctors, undervalue nutrition so much. And I do think because a lot of doctors are insurance pay, it really is a rush to get patients out of the door. And I understand that that model. If you are a physician and you're getting paid by the insurance model, you have to push patients out the door. There's only one insurance program that I accept. And the only reason that I accept it is because if I say that this appointment is $150, they give me that reimbursement. Whereas other physicians, if you're with insurance, if you say I want 150, you might end up with 30, $30 reimbursement. So like I understand like why doctors have to do that, but hopefully we make a lot of changes because insurance really, insurance programs run everyone. If you're under their program, they run you, and you can't treat patients with everything that you can.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And, the pharmaceutical model, they seem to be more symptom based, right? Treat the symptom and not necessarily cure the underlying cause. So, how do you approach that differently?
You know what I always say, like if you got a broken leg or you're dying, you're losing a lot of blood, like go to the hospital, or you all you want is the medication. If you just want a medication, then yeah, like the regular primary care physician, that's your doctor. If you just want a quick prescription, you want in and out, then that's fine. Like that is the conventional model, and yes, use your insurance. That's a great idea to do that. But if you want to talk your hormones and your vitamins and see what's under the hood and really address everything. I always say, like, sometimes people will come in for, exhaustion, fatigue, low motivation, and they'll just get their thyroid checked, but oftentimes it's not just one thing. It's a little bit of your thyroid and your testosterone and your vitamin D and your B12, and hydration, like there's so many things. It's never just one thing. And so it takes, it takes a doctor who cares and loves this stuff. Like I always tell my patients, like I love doing this, and it's like I want to get to the bottom of it. You need that. I mean, a lot of people need that kind of doctor on their side, and yeah, I mean that's just not the conventional model. And so that's why a lot of doctors like me, we are cash pay, and so it turns a lot of people off because it's hard to pay cash when you have your insurance. It's kind of, I mean, I have insurance as well too, but I remember when I didn't understand so much integrative medicine, and I would never pay cash if I have insurance. It's kind of like, well, I got insurance, why would I pay? But you don't really understand until you dive into integrative medicine that it's a lot more than just here's a medication for whatever symptom.
Interesting. So, are you seeing more patients that don't have insurance at all? Like they just don't participate in the insurance business
No,
when it comes to that?
you know what? No, a lot of my people actually do have insurance, and they're just willing to cash pay. And I run labs through insurance, right? So any lab work that I do, it's through insurance. It's just my time, which really isn't that much. It's like a 175, for a follow up, which is like 30-45 minutes. So I mean, it's not that much. And like a lot of my patients, I just make them see me once a year. Right. So like a lot of my patients, it's like they understand, what they got to be on long term. And, it's funny, like they'll interpret their labs for me. But yeah, it's something that once you get your health on track, you shouldn't have to be following up with your doctor a lot at all. Yeah, it's something that oftentimes I get the patient who they're coming to me for their last resort. They've seen doctor after doctor after doctor, they're convinced that we're not going to find anything. But it's always funny, when you look at their labs, all they've had is like a CBC, CMP, and like a cholesterol or something. So basically, they're not dying. You're not dying. Your doctor made sure that you're not near death. But what are your hormones? What are your vitamins? There's always an answer. The blood work doesn't lie. So that's why I always love talking about blood work. It really is a guess unless you're looking at your blood work.
One thing that I see that's a little neglected as well is gut health, and, they say our gut is 70 to 80% of our immune system. It affects our testosterone production. I also find the topic of the gut-brain axis really interesting. And you studied neuroscience, so maybe you've got some information on that. But yeah, one study that I noticed was for glyphosate, and they said glyphosate, Roundup that they spray on all our food, disrupts the gut microbiome, causes dysbiosis, and that specifically leads to depression. Yeah. Do you see any of that, or how do you handle gut health with your clientele there?
Yeah, you know what? I see a lot of gut health issues. We do dive into it, but only after I fix all the hormones and vitamins. There's a lot of different things that we can help with gut health, but if you don't have your foundational hormones and vitamins in place, I find it really hard to control gut health. We really do have to fix everything, and there's a lot of different tests that we could do for gut health, but I do see a lot clear up when we just make those basic changes to control inflammation by helping our hormones and vitamins. And then, the next step after that is, of course, learning proper foods to eat. There's a lot of us who just aren't eating healthy foods that are good for us. And, of course, like pesticides and environmental toxins, they're really hard to avoid, so we got to do the best that we can. But one thing that I always say too is, people always ask me, like, what's the best diet for me? Is it this diet or that diet? And I always say, like, it's different for everyone. It's whatever you feel best with. It's whatever you can be consistent with. I do have some concerns when we're doing low protein diets. I always have that conversation with patients to always make sure we're at least getting protein in. But when it comes to particular diets, what might be good for one person isn't always good for another. So I do find a lot of help and results when we look into food sensitivities and allergies. So that's something it's objective data. You can do a blood test for it and check it. It's one thing that if you're eating a healthy diet, there are still some things that might be sensitive for you, right? So you might be eating a healthy blueberry on Monday and getting some gut issues on Thursday that you don't put together to that blueberry that you ate because it's healthy, right? It sounds awesome, but it's very interesting in the objective data that you can get to see sensitivities and allergies, and then make your diet from there. I have a lot of luck with gut issues by really just, like I said, like step one, looking under the hood, clearing up our vitamins and our hormones. And then after you clear that up, okay, your body's strong, your gut's as strong as it's going to be. Now let's look into food sensitivities and allergies, cut all those out, and then decide, what diet we want to do for ourselves. A lot of us are looking for that one diet that's going to, make us have our ideal body without doing exercise, so it gets, we get very 0 to 100 on our diet and forget about everything else that, really plays a part in the gut health.
Yeah, that's a great point about diet, because like in the nutrition space on social media, people got to base their whole social media personalities around what diet they're on, right? If you're a carnivore, your whole identity is carnivore, and that's the only thing that works for anybody. And you're a vegan on the other end of the spectrum. Everybody should be a vegan, and that's the only thing that works, and carnivore will kill you. And you can hear doctors on both sides, saying this. These aren't just regular influencers. And so I feel like it can be complicated for a lot of people. Yeah. And that's why I agree. Yeah. Most people just need like a set of rules to follow. And like you're on carnivore, okay, that means you're not eating Oreos and Twinkies and Pop-Tarts anymore. You're eating cleaner, healthier food, right? And on the other end, if you're a vegan, you're probably not eating, I don't know, we won't get into that because they eat a lot of garbage too.
Yeah, but exactly. I mean, there's different vitamins that might be low with vegans, and oftentimes there's a marker that we can look for your nutrient status, which shows if you're getting enough protein in your diet. So often vegans will look at different markers like that. Like to your point as well too, like any diet that we do, I mean, I think it's awesome if it works for you and it's good, but there's certain staples that we need to look for. One of those is everything in that particular diet good for me? Because we all have individual sensitivities, so everything takes some tweaking, and a lot of us get on our high horse for whatever diet works for us. And diets are awesome. Clean eating is awesome, but there's just more to it. We can always optimize our diet. Like there's always little tweaks that you can do to everything, and diet certainly is one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, control the controllables.
Yep. Yeah, and then like you said, like pesticides and things like that. Like there's there's so much that we can get into for that. I have a bunch of handouts that I give my patients for things to avoid. But there's also environmental specialists that I'll refer them to because you can do a lot of cool toxin tests and see heavy metals, toxins in your hair and your urine. Some of the tests that I do, but an environmental specialist like really does a deeper job of interpreting because yeah, we're all exposed to so many chemicals and um, you know uh, I always say as well too, like fix your foundation, which is the hormones and the vitamins, and if you're still feeling fatigue, aches and pains, then pay money for those expensive tests. But always the foundation line first, and then we can dig for all those things. But there's so many environmental toxins to avoid. And you know what, like one thing that I always say, since you guys are in a sunshine state as well too, so for Arizona, one of my top recommendations is to not drink from a water bottle. Like those water bottles, there's a lot of us that will get like the 30 pack from, a gas station, but it's been sitting out in the sun
Yeah.
or it's been on a hot truck to get to the gas station. And those water bottles are not to be exposed to heat. So those water bottles are not reusable. And in the sunshine states, maybe we don't think about it as much if we come from, like Canada. I drink water bottles all the time, but out here it is exposed to heat. And about 50% of us studies show that about like 30 to 50% of that is just plastics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all of us know that when you're drinking like a warm water bottle, you get that plastic taste. Like you're literally drinking plastic, so that's been exposed to heat. But the cold sometimes kind of masks it. But if you drink enough of those, they're endocrine disruptors, which means it messes with your hormones. A lot of us, and so the endocrine disruptors, a lot of them, they act like estrogen, right? So for women, all of a sudden you'll have all your estrogen hormones spiked, and all the high estrogen like symptoms, like bloating, weight gain, just irritability, like pregnancy. Like you don't feel very good. You feel really bloated, and men will have the same types of symptoms, and then like gyno and weight gain, and they start converting all their testosterone into estrogen, right? So it's just a downfall for everyone when we get toxins. We're just all going to end up with low testosterone, depression, anxiety. It's just a recipe. It's a recipe for just disaster for our health.
Yeah, and we're being attacked on every angle, right? The food, the water,
Yep.
but also the air we breathe, the clothes we wear in our petro. It's getting into the skin, the
Perfumes, soaps,
cosmetic products
Yep.
that you're
cosmetics,
using,
sunscreen.
air fresheners, receipt paper, toilet paper,
Yeah,
everything.
I know. Yeah, exactly. So it gets overwhelming. So we pick and choose. For me, that kind of thing, it stresses me out. So I just don't, I don't worry about it too much. If things
Sure.
stress me out, I just, I just push it away. But there's just so many things to think about, and
Yeah.
it's same way with diet. There's a lot to think about as well too. But baby steps, we should learn in baby steps. You can't go 0 to 100 and ignore all toxins in your life. Some people do an amazing job of it. I'm still one at a time to learn it because there's so many things to avoid. So we got to pick and choose and just do our best.
Yeah, that's in the world we live in, as I just mentioned, we're just surrounded at all we're surrounded on every side.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's what I
Yep.
tell people too, and that's what I do myself is like, well, make progress where you can. Stop drinking
Yep.
from the plastic water bottles. That's one thing, and that's going to be a little
Yep.
less in you. Stop wearing cologne directly on your skin. Just some easy
Yep.
things that you can do, and just one by one, try to clean up your life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't let it overwhelm you. And it's kind of deciding that risk reward, or the risk benefit out of, or risk
Yep.
convenience out of it, right? It's like,
Yep.
oh, like goodness knows, I'm
But you're like in a world with so many toxins, like that's why we should all be working out, right? We got to
Yep.
sweat, pee, and poo every day,
There you go.
and that's gonna do your best at getting toxins out, right? We got to let it all out. The human body needs to sweat,
Yeah.
that's why want a really good reason to work out and sweat is to get your toxins out. So a lot of people will be googling these expensive vitamins and detox protocols, but the gym is the cheapest best way to do that.
Amen. I second that one. Another big topic that I see that people run into when they're trying to keep their hormones healthy and trying to just feel good in life in general, I think the two biggest causes I see beyond the endocrine disruptors and all that is sleep and stress. And I think they kind of go hand in hand. I think the sleep gets bad because you're stressed out and you got the monkey mind running all night. Yeah, is that
Yeah.
something you address in your practice with your people at all?
Yeah, you know what? Definitely hormone, issues are attached to poor sleep and things like that. Of course, stress plays a part as well too. But it really goes back to keeping the basics in line. So I always say, like, if sleep and stress is affecting your life, there's things that we can do under the hood with vitamins and hormones to balance it out. And absolutely, I mean, the more you stress, the more you burn things like magnesium, right? So people who are stressed out, they got really low magnesium, especially for women as well too. On our period, we got a lot more magnesium that we're burning, and so yes, I mean, stress affects different levels of our vitamins. And sometimes it can affect our daily habits as well too. So one thing that I typically recommend for people who feel in like their adrenals are in chaos, and they just can't get things right, is to place a schedule. Your body always does best on a schedule. So 8 a.m. wake up, 10 a.m. gym, X, Y, Z, like do the same thing all throughout the day. Every day, to create a habit schedule. But yeah, I mean, there's so many different things, that come to mind when we're stressed out. There's different supplements to help us as well too. I always say, like, the almost everyone needs supplements. The person who doesn't need supplements is the person who sleeps 8 hours a day. They don't have any stress. They're not exposed to environmental toxins. They work out 5 to 6 days per week. They're strength training. They got a beautiful diet. And who's that
Yeah.
person? There's
Unicorn.
exactly. So, like, that's the only person who doesn't need supplements. So yeah, like it becomes kind of a silly argument when people are like, oh, I don't need that supplement. I'm just gonna get it from diet. And they're all stressed out and they got these problems. If we got those symptoms, we got to find the right supplements for you. And yeah, when it comes to stress and sleep, yeah, there's supplements that help certain people. And of course, magnesium, comes to mind for stress and sleep. But there's a lot of different other things that we can address. But yeah, it's hard to give a one-word answer. It's there's so many variables again. But yeah, I like placing a schedule, again, balancing your hormones and vitamins, and certain supplements per person based on their symptoms.
Yeah. I think that having a schedule is huge too. So you have that, like, regular bedtime and maybe a regular routine to help you get to bed sooner or
Yeah.
better. Shutting
Yeah,
off the
yeah,
screen when you feel like you need it.
I often find as well too, like, the people who are stressed or tired, kind of like you say, maybe some adrenal problems. A lot of them are people who have been trying different supplements randomly. But it is one thing that we can target in your labs when it comes to vitamins and supplements that we really got to focus on.
Yeah. And then the other thing with stress is you got to work on your own mindset too, and you've got to learn, whether that's philosophy or meditation or whatever it is for you that resonates with you.
Yep.
But you've got to put in a little bit of self work to control that monkey mind and that egoic
Exactly.
mind. And if you don't put in that work, it's
Yeah.
going to run your life.
Exactly, and with, like, high stress and things like that, especially for mental health as well too. Like, that's where working out comes to be so important. There's a lot of patients will want the secret pill that's going to stop their stress, but exercise is that. It really is the most there's that quote that says that exercise is the most underutilized antidepressant.
Hmm.
And it really is. It really is. Exercise, strength training in particular, it's going to release serotonin and dopamine and those feel good hormones.
Yeah.
Just really make you feel good and help your body. So
Yeah. What was the
yeah,
study?
it really. What was that?
Sorry, there was a study, I think it was just last year, the year before, and they compared exercise versus antidepressants, SSRIs,
Mm.
and also therapy. And
And
exercise
dancing.
blew him out of the water. Dancing was actually the number one. That was even better than exercise.
Mhm.
Kind of makes sense because
Yep.
it is exercise, but you're also just high vibing, raising your vibe, being happy. And so the
Yep.
dancing was like the number one antidepressant. Exercise was right behind it. And then
Yep.
down at the end, at the other end, was therapy and antidepressants. But
Yeah, I mean, it really is insane or mind-boggling that not all physicians talk about exercise. It's something that it should almost be medical malpractice. If you see anybody, you should have that conversation. Are you strength training, or give them a handout?
yeah,
Like every doctor, like, there's no short amount of evidence. We all know it, and so everyone should be talked about for exercise, and also too, like I do kind of have a problem with people being prescribed antidepressants, specifically without having that conversation about exercise, and
yeah,
and also not looking under the hood at their labs. There's a lot of teenagers, a lot of 20-year-olds that young adults, and of course older adults, but it kind of hurts your heart when you hear young teenagers and 20-year-olds being put on antidepressants, and they've never had blood work before, and you're so young, and oftentimes with the younger people who don't necessarily have hormone issues yet, it's vitamins. A lot of parents think that kids are depressed or have things going on because of their hormones, but most often it's vitamins, and the main particular one that I see is vitamin D. And interesting enough, the vitamin D is something that it also increases serotonin and dopamine in your gut, and all throughout your body. You need vitamin D to produce those. So if you don't have vitamin D, you can't synthesize it, and for the last 15, 20 years, more and more of us are not getting sun. And so I really have a problem with just young people, and really anyone being prescribed those types of things without looking under the hood at what we know causes depression before we go on an antidepressant, or just having a serious talk about exercise.
100%.
Yeah.
Well said.
That reminds me when I was a teenager and I was prescribed birth control for my acne. And then come to find out, birth control at that age and then prolonged, it wasn't probably the best idea back then, but without,
Yep.
again, root cause, probably
Yep.
probably my diet. I didn't have the first job at Reflex in Dauphin, Manitoba. My first job was KFC, so there was a problem.
Yeah.
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 And there was another huge report, like a meta-analysis that came out last year that said the whole science behind SSRIs doesn't even work, and serotonin isn't even associated with depression, and cranking out more serotonin doesn't alleviate depression. And they're saying the whole history of this antidepressant drug is basically false, but here we are a year or two later and they're still prescribing it, and they act like it never even happened.
Yeah, there's so many issues with conflict of interest in different studies, and which is unfortunate. You would think that people have integrity as a physician, or as a research a researcher who is going to influence a lot of people, but that's the way that it is. We really have to read, research, dig into it, and really pay attention to what you listen to, and it's hard, but hopefully we'll get more freedom of good information out there. Soon more and more people are learning about healthy ways and exercise, and I think the voices who aren't supporting that are starting to get silenced, because we want better health, and we're not getting healthier by listening to most recommendations that we see.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And there is a broad general awakening to that, I think, and people are kind of realizing that, okay, I need to take care of this body a little bit. I can't just depend on these doctors that just want to give me drugs if I want to be
Yep.
strong and healthy and
Yep.
vibrant into my older age.
Yeah, and really for a lot of people, like once you're started on an antidepressant, or even a blood pressure medication or a blood sugar medication, it's like most people can just expect to be on it for life. I get patients who just been on it for 15 years, and it's like, when are you going to come up? Well, I don't know, I'm just going to be on it, and they don't remember why they were on it.
Yeah.
They just take it because they were on it, and so that's healthcare is starting to change like that. A lot of doctors are giving more options of how you can prevent even being on a medication. And I certainly get a lot of people at least coming to me about how they can get off of a medication. just to have that conversation about understanding, what's happening with their health, why it's happening, and what they can do. A lot of us are very confused about our health. We leave the doctor, not really knowing what our labs even meant, or why we're being prescribed something. And I always say it doesn't matter if I understand your labs or your health. It's you that needs to understand it, and that's really how patients get better, and in understanding their health. That's how they get motivated.
Yeah. Yeah. And having, the plan, right? And a
Mhm.
proper physician that can help them, get there and get from A to Z, right? And be able
Mm.
to, implement those habits and those practices and those supplements and everything, and hopefully move the needle forward in there. But yeah,
Yep.
you've got to be able to understand and have a plan and then execute on that. And
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think too, like, just being a physician who really prioritizes my own health, makes it a little bit easier for patients to trust me, and
Hmm.
understand. I understand the hard work. I'm doing it as well too. And I believe in my patients. It's kind of like teamwork. And it's it really is like teamwork, and I think it helps to be a physician, and walk the talk. And it's hard, at least it's hard for me to listen to someone give fitness advice and health advice, if they're maybe not living that life themselves. And so
Yeah.
I think it's important for more and more doctors to start working out, and practicing what we preach. Even doctors who work under the insurance, they're smart people. It's just it's a stressful job sometimes, but
Hmm.
I guess it's not too stressful if you're helping people. Like, I love my job, I love my patients. It really is a lot of fun. When I guess when you learn what kind of medicine you love, and get passionate about it.
Yeah, I've always said never take health advice from somebody that doesn't lift or doesn't at
Yeah.
least do some type of resistance training. Because if they're missing like the number one thing you can do for your metabolism, for your
Mhm,
strength, for your
mhm,
independency going into older age, then
mhm.
why would you listen to that person about anything?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I do have a benefit in connecting with my patients, and I'm able to be blunt with them. So if they give me excuses, I can, I can be cool, and we can be honest with each other.
Bare
And
knuckle box them if they're not listening.
Exactly, yeah, too. Yeah, I mean, I just love walking the talk, and being inspiring to my patients, so that they get inspired with their treatment plan, and they want to help themselves. So yeah, it's a win-win relationship. When I do my athletic goals that I do, it's a win-win for me, and then it also inspires my patients. So
Hmm.
it's really inspiring. And I think fit people are going to be the future. There's so much obesity, the rise of obesity, and a lot of our fitness and natural kind of regimens, turn into what most people interpret as an obsession, when really it's just it's what everyone should be doing. And so I think fit people are going to change the world. We just gotta stay strong, and keep being positive, and motivating the people around us.
I love that. Love that.
yeah,
Obsession with feeling good, maybe.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Even as a professional fighter, it's like, yeah, like, I train a lot, but it doesn't take all day. When I train, like, I'm focused. I'm 100% focused. Every single minute counts. So I always look like that crazy lady in my boxing gym or at the gym, because when I'm training, it's like every single minute counts, and I'm very intense. And then when I go out, it's family time, or it's work. It's my time for my patients. But when you learn to really prioritize your fitness, it just becomes a part of your life, and you learn what you have to do to keep it in your life.
Yeah. So I imagine you probably have a lot of older people as in your business there, maybe boomers for customers. And so as somebody like say a boomer is waking up and they're realizing, okay, I should probably start working out, but they haven't done so in so long, and part of
Mhm,
them is saying, well, it's too late now, you might as well not even start. What kind of
mhm.
advice do you give those people that are just starting out and realizing that they need to probably do something at least?
Yeah, you know what? Every person is different, so I kind of feel their energy and personality and see how I can, kind of attack that.
Mm.
Of course, with some of the men, I get a lot of men who have military background or police background, and mentally, like, they're really tough guys, but you just got to pull it out of them, and get them to that, back to their competing side, and it really is just about influencing people that, you can always be better. It always starts from somewhere, and, it's never too late to start. And Yeah, it really is. I think just awakening their mental side, and it's cool that I look at I look at everyone's labs, and I can tell people that, here's the lab results. It's not you that's unmotivated. It's your vessel. You're just mentally toughing through life. Once we fix your vessel, we're gonna do baby steps along the way, to just get you feeling better. And there's always a sigh of relief when people don't feel like themselves, and they have a lot of guilt inside, but they don't understand why they can't change. And it's very relieving for people to see that, okay, it's not me, it's my vessel. Let's support my vessel and then get back to training, and things like that. So yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways to approach it, but I certainly, make a big statement in telling people that, we gotta really work our whole life in building and preserving muscle, and that's what's gonna make us live longer, and feel good, we gotta try to be building muscle. There's no, easy way to build muscle, other than to just put in the work. And also too, for people who are just starting out, especially my women, I just tell them, just get free weights to your house, 10 pounders even. And I always like look them up and down. I'm like, you look pretty strong. Like, you can do a 10-15 pound, right? Because they're telling me like, oh, I do 2 and 3 pounds. And it's like, come on, it's like you can do at least like 15 pounds curls, right? And so like I get them to get it from their house, and I just tell them like, start with like curls or like lat raises, just like the at home kind of, like, I give like a quick little like shoulder workout that they can do, 6 exercises, and I tell them, just start with that, do it every day. If you don't want to do anything, just do that every single day, do it for 30 days. You're going to see some muscle gain, and you're going to feel it. Once you start building any little bit of muscle, it changes your psyche, and really, only people who really work out, really understand that, that it really stays and you can build on that. But to get that first feeling, if you just stick with it for a couple of weeks, most people, really start to feel something. And so, I really just try to find what's the best way to get my patients started. Yeah, it really takes someone to understand, your energy and your personality. So you just gotta, there's always a way to motivate someone. You just gotta find it.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you can get them through that first 3-4 weeks, that first 3-4 weeks, everything hurts and it's painful, and your recovery is really slow, and you're sore all the time, and you start to feel sorry for yourself. But every rep you get during that time is like one rep closer to where it starts to feel really good, and your body starts to handle it better. You start to get a little stronger. You start to recover faster, and that's when you really start seeing the benefits from it. So it's just stay in the course, push yourself through those first 2-3 weeks, and during that time, it's just about starting wherever you're at, and don't worry about what you used to bench in high school, and now you're 55 and you haven't touched a weight in 30 years. So start with whatever you're at and just move the muscle, contract, stretch, wake it up, say hello. And then as it feels better next week, now we can add a little bit more weight, and week to week we can just make progress.
Yeah, and also too, like, I find it's very helpful to just remind people that it's not just bodybuilders that are in the gym, right? It's not just bodybuilders or competitors. It's just regular people, and everyone belongs at all different levels. We see like those horror stories where people are getting teased and stuff like that. Most often the gym environment is very friendly.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of us might look serious, and because I'm always in my bubble and I got my serious face. But if anyone talks to me, like, I pull off my headphones and I'm so smiley. It's like I love talking to people. I'm just in the zone. It's for myself, and I got to keep that focus. And most people are like that. There's just nothing like exercise. And so, a lot of my motivation is trying to tell people to try to work out and where they can start from. I often get the the females who are worried about getting too jacked. So I'll often like flex my arms and be like, look, I've been trying to get jacked my whole life,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
naturally you're not gonna get too jacked. That's just
Yeah.
how it is. It's like I'm
Right.
trying to get jacked,
Yeah.
and this is all I got. So like I try to break it down for them like that, and but still sometimes it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
I actually have one of my good friends I work out with. She's 50 years old and she won't do chest with me because she doesn't want to get her chest too big. I'm like, dude, I've been like doing chest for so long, and she doesn't want her boobs to get too lifted or something. And it's like you think from one chest press like that's gonna
Yeah.
happen,
Yeah.
but
Unless you're going on like a
yeah,
dedicated bodybuilding bulk diet and you're like,
ex-
purposely working to
exactly,
build that extra mass,
exactly,
even then
like
it's going to be
Yeah.
really challenging.
Yeah, it's gonna be a
yeah,
few years.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
yeah.
Especially
Yeah, so some people have that fear for whatever reason. So I try to ban that myth because it'd be awesome if you could get jacked in one workout. You'd probably feel amazing the next day, and you'd probably want to stay with it. Once you start building muscle, you understand.
Yeah.
Like
Like,
whether
oh, this is
you do it.
cool. I want more.
E-
Yeah.
Exactly, and if your goals are to compete or whatever, and you're not natural, then whatever. But there's a lot of us who are just natural, and it's just for fitness, and yeah, we work all life to get jacked, and we still don't really get there. So
Yeah.
it's a long time to get there, but I just always remind people you're not going to turn into Arnie, by a couple of weeks of working out. We're not going to be Schwarzenegger after a couple of weeks. We
Yeah.
got a whole lifetime and more.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's always one of those things that comes up with women. It's like I'm gonna get too jacked. I don't want to get too bulky. I just want
Yeah.
I just want to be toned. And it's like, okay, look,
Mhm.
you're still gonna lift heavy. We're still, you're
Yep.
still gonna, not turn into the Hulk.
Yep.
It's everything
Yep.
will be all right.
Yeah, and also to that point, it's like it's something that women need, and men as well too. If we're gaining weight, we got to strength train.
Mhm.
If we're talking weight loss, a lot of my patients will say like I went for a walk, or I did the treadmill, and like that's good for your cardio, but it's not good for fat loss. And so I always tell my patients like when you are doing cardio, you're only burning calories during that session. And I mean you can run on a treadmill for a long ass time and only burn like 100 200 calories, which is only like
Yeah.
like 10 15 chips at
Right.
the Mexican
Just
restaurant.
one part of a Snickers
And
bar and that's gone.
exactly, so you got to work your ass off to burn hardly any calories if you're doing cardio. And so I always say like we got to work smarter and not harder. And when we're talking fat burning and making yourself a fat burning machine, we got to build muscle. And that way you're burning calories during your workout, and then when you go home, you're burning calories. When you're eating, you're burning calories. When you're sleeping, you're burning calories, and then you go to the gym the next day and do it all over again. You're constantly a fat burning machine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so yeah, like I always tell patients like weights over cardio. Do cardio for fun and to warm up, but the weights is where you need to be.
Right. Yeah. And in addition to just the caloric burn that you get from that extra muscle mass, you also now have more glycogen storage, more storage for the
Yep.
sugar for the carbs that you eat, and you have more insulin receptors to handle the insulin that's getting spiked from those carbs you eat. And so when you do that,
Yep.
now you can go eat carbs, and now you're lifting every
Yep.
day, and so you're putting those carbs into your muscles. They're helping to fuel your workout. They're becoming
Yep.
stored energy for future workouts. Whereas
Yep.
if you just go eat all the carbs in the world and then you never lift weights, they just
Yep.
get through the bloodstream, they circulate, there's nowhere to go, storage is full,
Yep.
and then you turn into
Yep.
body fat and you start having other problems.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like muscle like really is what's going to help control your diet and all other things. Yeah, I mean, everyone should be in some sort of strength training, and I try to motivate people as much as they can to understand how important it really is.
Yeah, yeah, no, 100%.
Love it.
So with everything that you're, balancing and stuff, what's going to be on the plate for you here soon? Do you have any fights coming up that you're currently balancing with the rest of your life as a physician and mom?
Yeah, so I've been waiting for the contract. They actually just told me yesterday that I should be expecting it soon, but it sounds like it's going to be beginning of the year, either January or February, but sounds like January. But it sounds like they're waiting for approval, so everything's kind of in question right now. But it sounds like it's going to be in Phoenix, Arizona, so it's going to be a hometown fight for me.
Home advantage.
A really a really big fight. So I'll have all my patients out there. I don't think there's any other primary care physicians who are also professional fighters. I know like
Yeah.
some of them have like dabbled in like fundraising, boxing for fun, but
Yeah.
it's like I'm a professional fighter. I'm going for the world title. I'm ranked number 4 in my division, and so this next fight will be really big. And I want to work to be the best that I can. And I really love fighting. It's one of those things that I always tell people, like, I don't get nervous before fighting. I'm very calm. I'm very relaxed the whole time before, the whole time after. It doesn't get to my head. It's not a pressure thing for me. But when I do bikini competitions, I'm telling you, I'm so nervous. I'm sweating. I'm sweating off the tan. I got to put my hands up so my coach fans off my hands because I'm just so nervous. Because you're like the bikini and the hair and all of that. It's just it's hard. It just feels not me, and then the whole the judges are in control of it, right? So it's not really in your control. You can do your best, but at the end of the day, it's the judges. And I guess that goes with fighting as well too. But I feel more in control in fighting. It's always it's always like it's always more control for me. And yeah, I mean, fighting is my comfort zone. It just really makes you feel alive. It's a lot of fun, and I think for any fighter, it's hard to give up on. We all got to know, when it's our time to go. But it was never my time to leave when I did go. So I'm so excited to be back, and in a sport that I can really focus on. With bare knuckle boxing, I only got to focus on boxing, whereas when I fought MMA for 14 years. Before I got into boxing, with MMA, you got to learn, jujitsu, you got to learn wrestling, you got to learn Muay Thai and boxing and MMA. Like there's so many classes you got to go to because you got to learn all disciplines. And as fun as that is, as a mom and a business owner, primary care doc, and just so many things going on, I do better when I get to hyper focus on one discipline. And boxing has always been my thing. I've always wanted to get into boxing, so it's a little crazy how it ended up into bare knuckle, but. I love it. It brings out the dog in me, and I always say, like, I want to be as technical as I can. I want to be a smart fighter, and I work in technique all day long. But plan B is always brawl. If I'm in trouble, and I got to go to plan B. Plan B is just be a dog and brawl, and I love that too.
Yeah.
I used to always do that in MMA, but now it's 15 years deep of training and being serious, and now I'm at a high world title kind of level. And so I always try my best to be the smartest fighter, and that's what I work on. But my heart and my mind is something that when you push it to deep levels, I know I'd be very impressed with how far it could go, but I've never been pushed to that. So that's what fighting's for. It pushes you to those deep levels, and you just want to get pushed deeper and deeper. And so I love, when I get a tough opponent, but I always wish positive things for my opponent. I want them to come in healthy and strong and have the best camp because I want to get challenged. I don't want anyone who has any excuse, because I want the challenge. It's all about. It really is about self-growth, and it's just cool. It's cool to have a female my weight to be the one to challenge me.
Yeah. Oh my
That's good.
goodness.
It's amazing. Well, it sounds like you're in your prime.
Yeah.
Yeah. So best of luck in your training for this upcoming fight and the fight, of course.
Thank you.
So where can people go to learn more about your services and to follow along with your journey?
Well, services really is only for Arizona people. Right now, I'm working to expand nationwide, but right now I only see people in Arizona. But shellmedical.com is where anyone can find me to see me in person. But I'm pretty active on my Instagram accounts. My personal Instagram is Dr._Sarah with an H Shell. But I also have a clinic page where my clinic manager operates that, which is a lot of health information, which is the Shell .medical. I post a lot of information, and I'm working on putting out more information because, like I say, I feel like I'm on repeat all day long. A lot of us have the same, vitamin deficiencies, and a lot of them are just basic things. It really is, mind-boggling how, so many basic vitamins and hormones just aren't addressed. And it makes sense with the conventional model. If you go to a doctor and use your insurance, just expect that it's just a quick visit. You really need to find the right doctor who is going to be looking at everything, and that's what we all should be doing as physicians.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that's a great checklist to have for the regular person
Mm,
out there that really just wants to get to the root, not,
mm,
be just another number out through the door and really set the record straight on their health issues. So great info.
yeah,
Great info, Sarah. Thank you so much. Awesome.
yeah, of course.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for tuning into this episode and joining us with Dr. Sarah Shell today. We hope you enjoyed this episode. And of course, Sarah, thank you so much. And we will be cheering you on for in 8 weeks. Oh my goodness, this is so exciting. Like I said, the whole bare knuckle boxing is just like it's so badass. I'm like, Sean, he's a bare knuckle
It's gonna be one of the
boxer.
most
It's
badass
one of
sports.
the most badass sports.
It's so much fun, and it's growing so fast. So it's gonna be huge in the next 5-10 years.
Oh my gosh,
Wow.
we're gonna have to see if we can make it out and maybe watch it live in person. Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe when I'm going for the world title.
Yes,
We'll
yes,
be
Yeah,
absolutely.
2025 when I go for the world title.
Okay, all right. Yes, absolutely. We should absolutely do that. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sarah, for joining us today. And thank you, everyone. And don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.